Hashem's V'saitivtach Luki Agitzel Asacha. We're now on the 18th Perek of Shmuel Aleph. And in this Perek, Shmuel, in his narration, is holding on to a very beautiful concept. And that is the concept of true Ava, true love, a deeper love, a love that goes beyond just the physicality, but rather it's a love of a bonding, the ultimate, where one person is so connected to another person that it is as though he loves the person because the person is a part of himself. That is the ultimate love that we know in Perek Avos that is mentioned here with David and Yonasan. But Yonasan is not called Yonasan anymore. He's consistently now called Yehonasan because the love and what he does and his actions reflect that everything is L'Shem Shamayim. This is not Chas v'Shalom. This is not the kind of passionate romantic love, but it is that the Nefesh Yehonasan Nikshara b'Nefesh David. They are bonded. They're bonded in their soul for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore each one of their souls sees that the other soul is so connected to Hashem. Now, in truth, it doesn't make any logical sense for Yonasan to be at all connected to David, because in fact, as David goes up, Yehonasan's opportunity to be the king, to follow in his father's footsteps, to really make a name and to be known and to go down in history as being somebody special, ultra special, well, it continues to lower as this relationship, as David goes higher. But that is irrespective of what Yonasan's actual motivation and he is totally everything L'Shem Shamayim. Now, at that point, so that's on the one hand, that's the positive. Those are the protagonists. Right now, Shaul is really having a difficult time. We know that he has this ruach ra'ah that is on him, and it is increasing, and the paranoia and the idea of somebody taking over, someone who, remember what Shmuel said, someone who is better than you. You know, there's one idea that somebody doesn't have something. But there's another idea, psychologically, it's a lot harder to handle when you know that someone else is better, has more. It's a deeper sense of loss and disappointment for him to know that there is somebody in the lurks who is going to take over for you, and that is contributing to the difficulty that he feels. So Shaul is now going to try 3 times to kill David. Now, to think that this Gadol Hador is going to be killing or trying or attempting to kill David is very, very difficult. But emotionality and the psychological ramifications of what he's experienced really lead him, are propelling him in this direction. Now, so he is in a very, very precarious position, and Shaul, is getting worse and worse. So David makes a pact with Yonasan, and the pact includes Yonasan actually taking off his cloak, his me'il, which really symbolizes, I'm giving up the kingship to support you. And he gives it to David along with his sword, his bow, and his belt. And that is the epitome. He literally is just very connected, and he goes out and he is successful in everything that he does. Everything that David is sent out to do, for Shaul, he is successful. And Vayitav b'nei kol ha'am v'gam b'nei avdei Shaul. Everyone loves him. He is humble, but he's successful. He does everything well. He forgives everyone. He is just a pleasure to have around. And everywhere that he goes, people are just loving him. Now, we know for ourselves, there is something when you ask all of when you ask people, so who is your favorite in Tanakh? There's a really good chance that a lot of people would say David HaMelech. He is emotional and passionate and kind and good and successful. And, everybody literally falls in love with him. And so that's what we're up to. Now, when that happens, there are the women who come out in a very famous song, and they come out to sing. How are they able to sing? Well, they're singing together, and they go out to Shaul with hand drums and shouting, and they're very excited because David has just come back successfully from fighting against the Plishtim. And they sing the famous song, Hikash Shaul ba'alafav b'David b'rivavotzav. Shaul has killed thousands, David has killed tens of thousands. So Shaul becomes completely offended by what this is, very upset, and he's like, what? They gave David the 10,000s and me they give thousands? V'ola ach malucha. And this is something that is like, what if he's not even the king? And from there on, Vayihi Shaul Oyin es David mehayom hahu v'hala. And from there on, he is just, he's keeping a close eye out on David. And it gets worse and worse, and he is so upset. Now, there are a lot of different ways to understand what this song was. Do you really think that the Jewish people, these women, would be singing something bad on Shaul? But in his paranoia, he's not interpreting it, perhaps the way many of the Mefarshim interpret. And how is that? That when it's talking about that Hikash Shaul ba'alafav, that means that Shaul, you only needed 1,000 people to do your job. You're a natural born leader. You are a warrior. You did great. We know you fought against the David, but David, who came back successfully, he needed tens of thousands of people to help him. So that would have been amazing. They're praising David, but they're saying in deference to the king. Another way to interpret it would have been, Hikash Shaul ba'alafav. What is the aluf? The aluf is the Torah. Remember, Shaul, you were able to successfully take the luchos out of, you saved the Torah from the Aron, from the hands of the Plishtim. And David, yes, you did Ririvosav, yes. And David, you were successful at battle. Meaning, again, this is all in deference to the king. But Shaul doesn't see it that way. And this is a life lesson that Shmuel is highlighting. You go in with preconceived notions. You go in with a certain mentality, be it a paranoid mentality, be it a negative mentality, be it a positive mentality. And all you're going to get is your data, your life is going to support what it is that you're looking for. If you go in positively, then positivity follows you. Shaul could have been flattered. Okay, you know what? This guy is successful, but you know what I have? I have the power of the people who recognize all the good things that I did. But he couldn't even see that. He couldn't shift set to be able to fundamentally believe, because he was paranoid and he was just kept on seeing the writing on the wall. I'm being replaced. This isn't good. Someone else is going to take over my position. And so he got so offended. And so it's just getting worse. And it's just continuing to be in this house. And David is playing the harp as he did daily. And here comes strike number one, attempt number one for Shaul to kill David. Wow. The Gadol Ador is trying to kill a person who is doing nothing but being nice to him and being successful. That's pretty low. Now, the first attempt that he gives in trying to kill David is with his spear. So he takes the spear and a few times he throws it, kind of like arrows at David. Now, what's significant is that the people from Binyamin were excellent spear people. They had a perfect aim. By all stretches of the imagination, David's not a moving target. He is playing the harp, for goodness sakes, in his vicinity. And so it is very interesting. Vayisog David mipanav pa'amayim. Twice, he doesn't get hit. Now, what happens when that happens is that Shaul recognizes that Hashem is not on the side. It is not going to be from a miracle or from the Yad of Hashem is not in support of this. And so that whole way of getting rid of David is not going to happen. And so he doesn't do that again. He gets afraid and he sees that Hashem is not with him. Now, interestingly, David doesn't even pay attention. It's as though Hashem had kind of made a miracle, obviously. And so that's not so good in Shaul's favor. But clearly, David has Hashem to protect him, which we know was going to be true. And so Shaul removes David, and he goes into plan B. So plan B is, you know what, I'm not going to have it by virtue of a nace. Hashem is not in favor of it. But you know what I know about Hashem? I know that Hashem doesn't change nature unnecessarily. I know what I'll do. V'yasimehu lo sar elef. Oh, I'm going to make him chief of 1,000. I'm going to march him into battle. He can lose his life in battle. People lose their life in battle all the time. It's also, a little bit interesting. They said, you say he kasha'ol ba'alafav, and so I'm going to make him the sar of the aleph, right? So it's kind of like, look who's going to get the last laugh, David. But yet, Hashem is with him in everything that he does, and he is really successful in battle. And so this is just getting Shaul even more and more upset. I can't do it in a miraculous way with my, I can't, Hashem is protecting. I can't do it in a regular, routine, natural way by sending him off to war. That doesn't work. So what is it that perhaps is his Achilles heel? How do I get to killing the guy? And because it's getting worse and worse. Because B'chol Yisrael v'Yehuda Ohevas David, everyone loves him. And he keeps on being successful and in all these wars. So he comes up with a third plan. And Shaul says to David, I have a beautiful older daughter, Meirav. Take her for a wife. And the only thing is that I ask in return that you fight battles and you take you take the skins off of the plishtim, and in that way, that will be good enough. And if you're a warrior in battle, then amazing. Then you'll be able to take my daughter. Now David says, oh my goodness, mi anochi umi chayai mi mishpachas avi b'Yisrael ki yechatan lamelech. He's so humble. And he says, there's no way. What? I would be part of your royal family. Now, do you think that he is being facetious? I don't think so. I think he really respected Shaul for the Torah and for being the Melech of Israel. And so, he isn't just, it's not an empty way of being so gracious. But unfortunately for him, Meirav was already given to Adriel HaMecholosi. So some say that most Mefarshim pick up on this and say it was not Shaul's fault. It just, these things happen. The Shidduch world is already not aligned as we know it to be true. So then comes the only time in the whole of Tanakh that we have a woman who loves a man. Batahev Michal Bashaul, which means she was loyal and she was raised in the right way in accordance with Shaul. So she loves Shaul. She loves David. And so this was basically reported, Michal's willing to take a hit for the team. She actually really loves the guy. So he was okay with that. And he thought, amazing. This is going to be great because it's going to be a trap. We know there have been in history women that that provided a trap for men. We know it's Delilah. with Shimshon. There have definitely been times. This is great because then it's going to be on a deeper level, and all I have to do is make sure that I put such high expectations for the guy that it'll be amazing. So yeah, great. You just go, you kill a lot of Plishtim, you give me their skins, and then you can have my daughter. And so here it's another attempt, and that is again not going to be something that is going to be successful against David. But when David finds out that Shaul agrees to take him as a son-in-law, he is so ba'anochi ish rash v'nikla. I'm nobody. I'm just a poor guy. Okay, so what that he was already told he's going to be the king, but in his heart he's so humble, and he says all the right things. There's no way that it is going to be that anyone is going to be against him. And so so Shaul then tells his servant to tell David, yes, you know what you're going to have to do, 100 foreskins of the Plishtim, and that will be a nakama for my house, and it'll be, it'll work out good. And really he was just hoping that David was going to die. And of course, that's what he does. And of course, what does David do? He doesn't only take 100, but in David HaMelech's very easy way, he takes 200. And those 200 are successful, and he gets Michal. And Michal in marriage we're going to see. She loves him, but there's always this split loyalty between her and her husband and her father. And it's very sad because Shaul, who is such a gadol, he realizes ki Hashem im David umicha bat Shaul avtehu. Everyone who or everything that Hashem that Shaul loves is going over to the other side. His son went over to the other side. There was a dynamic there that perhaps didn't suggest this really mushy love. And now we have his daughter who also has gone over. Everybody is going over to David's side, and Shaul really feels it, and he's so afraid. What is he afraid of? So essentially, one could guess that what he's really afraid of is not so much the replacement, because we're not talking about someone who wasn't on a high level of being a tzaddik, but what he's afraid of is what happens if I am successful? What happens if, that these mitos that I'm now experiencing for the first time, this ruach ra, this what comes over me, what happens if I am able and am in the position? Will I really kill? Probably. Is this what's become of me? And it's just this recognition of just perhaps what's happening to him that is very, very, very fearful. And Shaul is David's enemy all the while from here on out. And we're going to see that David, wherever he goes, he's more and more successful. His reputation is soaring. Vayikar shmo ma'od. And we end the Perek with this idea of David really, he's on the up. He has all of Shaul's family, by his side. And Shaul, the tzaddik, has spent a lot of time trying to kill David. And while he isn't successful, what is happening is all throughout those attempts, his mitos are just waning. And it's very, very sad. But these things connect. Perhaps the first time it was really, really hard for him to do. But you know what happens after a while? We get habituated. And so, it was easier the second time. It's even easier the third time. He's gone down a very, very deep rabbit hole. And let's see in the next Perek what ultimately transpires. I want to dedicate this share to the Refuah Shalima of Yeshaya Chaim ben Shina Rachel. He should just have a Refuah Shalima B'Karov.